In this video, I'm going to share with you how are some ways that you know you're leveling up in your life, in your spiritual practice, and your energy consciousness. So tune in. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name's Fola, and here on Deep Mind Squared, we talk all things magical practices and altered states. And in today's video, super excited as I was sitting here pondering over the past week, what does it look like when we see ourselves leveling up or maybe desiring for some expansiveness in our consciousness? And I was hearing conversations with other people who were telling me about like tests or experiments kind of happening to them from the universe or for them from the universe. And it made me realize how powerful it is when we can become aware of these sorts of tests, these challenges along the path. So if you are currently experiencing perhaps a bit of resistance in your life, or you're not really sure if things are changing, I'm here to remind you that even when we think we're taking like 10 steps back, we are actually making ourselves in this progressive wheel of life and finding forward movement. So I had some things written down I wanted to share with you about my own experience in hopes that this will encourage you to trust this path that is unfolding before you now. And if you are new to the channel, or maybe you haven't done so yet, I want to invite you to hit that subscribe button, hit the join button if you'd like to become a part of the community, and also that thumbs up. When we like the videos, we show the algorithm and encourage others to also be part of this conversation, and it uplifts humanity as a whole. So one huge part for myself on my journey has been this transition from the workforce, where I was working as a psych nurse and really a part of the healthcare system, to then creating a shift into where I am now. This really real place of tapping into my creativity, into the creator that I am, into the artist that I am, and recognizing the power that I hold in being this creator of my life. I hear it from many people who are in the same place, they feel stuck, they feel as if there's something more to life and they aren't really sure what to do. Or perhaps the times that they do attempt to make the changes in their life, they just get thrown back into reminders of their old life or where they are currently, and why maybe, these excuses we create for ourselves, we should just stay exactly where we are. The way it showed up to me is every time I am about to, create a new project or take a certain direction in my life, I get reminded about the past. And this includes coming across old coworkers. I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me. Doesn't matter where I am, I will run across someone, I will see a person, have this conversation, and they'll basically be checking in with me of like, hey, where are things at for you? And it makes me come into this place of gratitude for my life journey, and also recognizing how far I have come. And a really potent example of this was the first time I was supporting someone in a medicine journey. And there we were doing this work, and at the point we were like, hey, we're gonna go outside and just have some chill time. Let's see what the universe wants to bring along our path. And while we're sitting outside, the three of us just chilling, all of a sudden I noticed that there were the police, right at the building next door. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is fascinating. Wonder what's going on there. And sure enough, within a few minutes, who was there? My old coworkers. I used to work in the crisis team. I did a lot of this work where we'd go out into the community with police. And I just remember being in shock of wow, here I am doing something completely new, at least in a sense, really stepping into that which I was feeling called to do at the time, and being witness to my old work. And I just laughed. It was just beyond comical, in my opinion. When these sort of synchronicities happen, the laughing, I think, is great medicine. But realizing that there is this forward movement, and the universe is going to show us along the path, hey, are you sure you want this? Or would you rather go back to what you knew? And this can happen in so many ways. I'm just talking an example about work here. My partner, same thing, we'll be out and about and just talking, and maybe most of the times it seems when we start talking about his dreams and his passions, then we come across, trucks of his old employer or areas where people are doing similar work that he used to be doing. And I'm like, okay, this is just another sign you're on the right path. So please, my hope for you is that you will have that faith, hold that faith and trust on your path, and don't waver. And the doubt that comes of like, oh, well, maybe I should. I'm going to tell you right now, I have had people in the last week or two messaging me from my old life, reaching out from my old life, and the reminder of like, hey, that is where I've come from, and this is where I'm going now. So hold that for yourself. Another silly way that I've learned that I'm up leveling, and I wonder if this applies to you, is that in my physical environment, glass or anything that's like a container starts to break. I've had this happen countless times across my life, and this just occurred even the other week where it's like my kid, my partner, me, glasses breaking, items dropping and shattering, and it's like 3 to 5 times in a day where this is happening, which is kind of annoying from the kitchen utensil kind of perspective. And yet recognizing, oh, look, the universe is kind of mirroring to me that something is shifting. And if we think about a container, if we think about a bowl, about being able to see into something, and when it shatters, it removes the limitations of that container. We no longer are held within the constraints of what that container can contain. And so where in your life are you up leveling so much so that the physical reality is starting to shift around you? You might have an example of what this looks like for you. Feel free to let me know in the comments below. If we can recognize that the universe uses this sort of like synchronicity or sign, then so much power can come. And I really like this quote from Aleister Crowley in his first volume of the Equinox. And he talks about magic, and he talks about the synchronicities. And to me, this is truly what magic is. He says, this working of magic art, the changed aspect of the world whose culmination is the keeping of the oath, I will interpret every phenomenon as a particular dealing of God with my soul. So how can you start to receive what's happening in the world around you as a phenomenon where God is communicating to you? Because truly, this is the magic of life. I think when we can come with that sense without becoming attached to what's happening, that can lead to a dangerous place, but just being curious and being like, I wonder what that's about. And why do I keep seeing these particular numbers? Or why do I keep overhearing the same sort of conversation or theme in conversation? Then we can start to really enter life in this place of like passion with the beauty of what's unfolding. And finally, an example I wanted to share, as this had been mirrored to me recently by someone, was this idea around relationships and what this means to up-level from a state of consciousness or a perspective of your life. And my example is when I was in the in-between state, I'd taken like a year and a half of just like abstinence, not wanting to be in a relationship, not wanting to like search or try and date anyone. And I was like, I'm just going to focus on myself until it felt like it was time for me to start opening up and putting myself out there, which I did, even though I felt a bit of like a resistance. It just was really clear to me that this is the step that needed to happen. And what occurred was around that time, I started talking with 2 particular guys, and we went on a date, and like their energy was so fascinating to me. On one end, there was this kind of like narcissistic, like self-absorbed energy, and someone who was really quite like unwell from a physical stance, in my opinion. Someone who was not really aware of their role in their own energy and, coming kind of from a victimization place. And then there was another individual who just seemed so like powerless, also kind of in a victimization place, and relying, like needy and requiring so much. These were kind of like 2 polar opposites of relationships in the masculine that I had actually been a part of in my past. And both of these men were like, I guess, head over heels, whatever that was about. They were very much drawn to my energy. And that was sort of like the red flag for me. I'm like, I'm seeing a pattern here. And how come this is happening? Like, I thought I'd healed some of this stuff, and yet, like, it's showing up again. And I realized very quickly, as both men, you know, were like, hey, like, let's go out again. I'd really like to see you. And I'm not saying this to like toot my own horn at all. Like, I think I'm pretty cool. And yet also recognizing there was this like over attachment to my energy that I noticed. It was like so like obvious to me that it felt almost surreal. And so here I was being given these offerings of more love and connection, and I had to sit with like, okay, that's what I want, and yet I'm no longer willing to sacrifice the type of masculinity that I want in my life. And I had to tell them no. Like, it was like, no, just clearly this is not what I want. Like, you know, this isn't gonna work out for me, and thanks so much for showing up and being in my life at this point, but this is all this is going to turn into. And literally, like, within the week of me rejecting or declining those offers, that's when my current partner came into my life. And so I want to just share that when we're like up leveling, when we are saying no to the things that we don't want, even though they keep showing up, again, like the employer or old coworkers or the opportunities that maybe seemed really cool before and now just don't align, then it's like when we say no to that, the universe starts to show us the yes. And to me, when these experiences happen, that means you're up leveling majorly. So keep the faith. Hold on to what it is that you want. Don't say yes to something that feels like a no in your body. And if you're not sure how to turn that on, then I invite you to check out some of my other videos. If you need to reach out and let's have a conversation of how you can start to really listen to your internal yes, okay? Because this is such a powerful, powerful working that it excites me. And I feel like the more that we as humanity can do this and tap into it, the more we're gonna up level, and thus we're raising each of our own vibrations and the collective vibration and seeing world in this magical, magical way. So I leave these 3 ways with you to start to recognize how it is that you're up leveling in life. And if you're not sure, again, if you feel like maybe you're trapped or just stuck, please come join us on Saturday mornings for the Ouroboros 713 gatherings. These are a magical place where we can talk virtually online. They start at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Those of you in the community membership get the link through there. Otherwise, you can join through my website, deepmindsquared.com. And I hope to see you there. And I wish you all the best wherever it is that you are up leveling to and from and within. And until the next time, you guys, take care.